Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, it's Wednesday, and you know what? Normally on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock, that's when you see me and Ryland, and we'll be sitting here talking about magic and reviewing new tricks. And Ryland will be back next week. The review show will be back next week. We've got a ton of stuff that we're ready to film, and I was going to put a review show up, but Ryland's been a bit busy. He spent the last 3 weeks in school. Spent the last 3 weeks at Blackpool, performing at the House of Secrets. Before that, he did a run of holiday parks, and he's just gone back to school, so we want to kind of have him focus on that. So today, I'm going to do a video that I've been meaning to do for the last week, and I've not really got around to do it because I've been so busy. I want to talk about key cutter. Now, normally when a new trick of mine comes out, I talk about it immediately. And, I try to give people all the answers that they have about the questions, I try to cover absolutely everything, because anybody who buys one of my products, I want people to come into it with their eyes wide open. Well, I've not had time to do that because I've been running around in Blackpool, basically, is the long and short of it. So instead, I'm doing 2 videos on key cutter. This one, today, this first video, this is kind of a your questions answered type of thing. So I'm basically going to tell you all about key cutter is, what it came from. You're going to see a few performances of it, so you can see exactly what it looks like. And I'm going to try and cover all of your questions and why you should pick it up. So this is not a review. I can't review my own trick, but I think I'm the most qualified person to talk to you about it. Then next Monday, hopefully Monday, I'm going to be doing a full exposure video on it, so you can see exactly how it works, and we'll do an exposure video. I'm going to try and get that done for Monday. As long as I've got time, that should be okay. But let's talk about key cutter. Now, if you have not seen the trailer, we're going to have a look at the trailer first of all. So this is the trailer to key cutter, and then we're going to talk about the history, we're going to talk about the origin, and then we're going to get into exactly what it is. 2, 3. Now, you examine the key. My hands are empty. I've done nothing. It's all happened in your hand. Yeah. This is going to freak you out. Grab hold of the key. Open your hand and look at the stem.
Oh my God.
Take your other hand, hold on to the end of the key, and then slowly, one finger at a time, open up your hand. And have a look at the stem of the key.
No way.
That's wild.
No way.
In 2022, myself and Penguin Magic released Keymaster, which has become one of the most popular tricks that I've ever created. Then, in 2023, I released Gatekeeper, which was equally as successful. I'm now proud, another addition to the Keymaster lineup. This is Key Cutter. So what is Key Cutter? Well, Key Cutter, at its core, is an absolutely incredible self-cutting key. The idea is that you take a key blank. In other words, a key that hasn't been cut, and you hand it to the spectator. They examine it thoroughly. They make sure that there's nothing special about it, because there is nothing special about it. You then take that key and you get the spectator to hold it. That's right, they hold it themselves. You never take it off them. They examine the key, they hold it at the tips of their fingers. And then right in front of the eyes of every single member of the audience, you slowly cut the key and then step away, leaving that cut key in the hands of the spectators. When I say this looks good, I'm underselling this. It looks absolutely incredible. It's easy to do. It's an instant reset. It's examinable beforehand. It's examinable afterwards. And the magic happens in the hands of the spectators. Let's be honest. We've all seen tricks with cards and coins and cups and balls. Key cutter is something completely unique. There is literally nothing else like it on the market. This is probably the best EDC you'll ever see. This is Key Cutter. So that was the trailer for Key Cutter, and you know what? I am so glad that this has finally come out. I filmed this over a year ago. And let me tell you the history behind this. So back in, I think it was 2008, I released Keymaster. And that was a phenomenal success. And then obviously a few years after that, I stepped away from the magic community, and I came back in 2022, realistically, is when I properly came back. And that's when I started working with Penguin Magic, and I released a couple of things. And one of the things I released was Keymaster kind of Penguin edition, right? And it was the version of Keymaster I always wanted to release. So it didn't just have 3 keys, it had 4 keys. The keys were shrunk down in size slightly to make the moves easier. There was a lot I actually did with that, and I did the tutorial I wanted to do with it. So anyone who's got Keymaster will know it comes with about a 2-hour tutorial. We've added to that since, and it was everything that you needed to know about moving holes in keys. Now, the Keymaster keys came blank. They came uncut. And there was a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is I wanted to be able to give them to people and have people cut them to their own key. You know, there's always people, you know, the amount of magicians I meet, and I'll say, show me a trick, and they go, oh, I've got nothing on me. And it's that thing that magicians say all the time, and I feel you should always have something on you to perform, like an everyday carry. And the whole idea of supplying Keymaster blank is you could take it to a key cutters, cut them into the shape of your own key, and you can always have your trick with you. If you're wanting to get into the house, you're always going to have your trick with you. Now, that was fine. That was great. And that was the first reason. The second reason is I actually prefer doing Keymaster with blank keys. If you've ever seen one of my This Is My Close-Up Case videos, there's always a Keymaster in there. It takes up very little space, and you'll see that they're always blank. So I never cut the keys to my own key or whatever, because I love bringing them out as blanks and saying, look, this is a key blank. Have you ever seen one of these before? Well, it's the whole idea is it's a key that hasn't been cut. So I've always done, and I know a lot of people always do Keymaster with key blanks as well. I find it kind of an interesting thing, because if I just bring out a key, people don't want to examine it. It's a key. If I bring out a key blank, people kind of find it interesting, which means that when the magic happens with the routine a little bit later on, they've already examined it. They know it's normal, right? So Keymaster came out, huge success, and me and Penguin talked about, and it is a huge success, by the way. I think it's my second best selling trick of all time. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, myself and Penguin talked about the Keymaster infrastructure and other things that you could do with keys that would match Keymaster. And one of the first things that we talked about was Gatekeeper. And Gatekeeper came out the year after Keymaster, and it was designed to match the Keymaster gimmicks. And basically it was a key where the hole was stretched along the length of the key. And it was based off a routine that Alakazam put out, and they used a card, and it was beautiful, and I got Alakazam's permission to actually do that with a key. And so the whole idea is that you would use this kind of as a lead-in to Keymaster. So you could take the key, take the keys for Keymaster, take a key off, do Gatekeeper, and then go into Keymaster. And you could also use it as a standalone piece. And again, Gatekeeper was a huge success. Everyone who bought Keymaster bought Gatekeeper, and a load of people bought Gatekeeper and then bought Keymaster off the back of it. Wonderful. Now, since then, we've been talking about lots of other things to do with keys, because, and I wanted this infrastructure almost to be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for keys. So in other words, I wanted to have lots of different routines, and all of them match the Keymaster gimmick. So you can build up a huge routine and add on what you think works and what you think, what you think is best for your act. And we've got lots of different things in the works, but one of the things that was floated around very early on from Penguin's point of view, they were like, wouldn't it be amazing if you could have a self-cutting key? Because all of these keys are blank. Wouldn't it be great if the key could cut? And I said, yes, it was. Yes, it would. That would be amazing. And if we're going to go down that route, we need to speak to Mark Leveridge. Now, let me explain why. So, now, this is where Mark Leveridge comes into the conversation. Mark Leveridge is one of my favourite magicians of all time. I would say he brought out my favourite L&L DVD set. There are routines of mine that are based on Mark Leveridge's work. My security pen that I taught on the Penguin Holiday Live is based off a routine by Mark Leveridge. I love Mark Leveridge, I really do. And my favourite memory of Blackpool when I first started going as a teenager was going up to Mark Leveridge's booth and just sitting there, standing there, watching him for hours. I'd buy everything, it was a given. But going up to Mark Leveridge's booth and just watching him perform, and I learned so much from just watching him perform. Mark Leveridge is an absolute god as far as I'm concerned. And I would say I think it's well documented, when I first got into magic, I started off doing a lot of restaurant gigs. So there was a lot of restaurants that I did. And I'd say probably 50% of my restaurant work came from Mark Leveridge. It was all of Perfect Crime and so many different routines that I did, and all of Mark Leveridge. And my favourite routine to do in a walk-around situation was a routine called Keyvolution. Now, Keyvolution is basically a trick that Mark Leveridge brought out in the 80s, 90s, and hasn't been available for a very long time. And it's a self-cutting key. Now, the effect is that you have two keys on a key fob, one that's cut and one that's not cut. And you have them examined, and then once they've been examined, you put them into your hand. You put them into a spectator's hand. They hold onto them, and then the blank key cuts in their hand, and it has very much a sponge balls moment to it. And what I mean by that is, one of the reasons magicians love sponge balls is because that moment, right? That moment when you open up your hand, or the spectator opens up their hand, and now there's two balls there, and they only thought there was one, and now there's two, and it's such a strong moment. It's why so many magicians do sponge balls. We're always looking, as performers, we're always looking for that sponge balls moment. Well, Keyvolution gave me that sponge balls moment, but with something else that wasn't sponge balls. Because, you know, you have that moment where you open up your hand, and they were convinced that they had in their hand a cut key and an uncut key. It's on a key fob, so it's not like they can be switched or anything, and then both keys are uncut. I would open with that in every single walk-around situation. I would open with it, and the gimmick was ingenious. And it's not been available for a long time. So Mark Leveridge brought that out. I had like 3 or 4 of them. You know, when I love something, I buy it, and I buy a couple of them because I don't want to ever be in a situation where I don't have it. Keyvolution was amazing. So I said to Penguin, I said, look, if you're wanting a self-cutting key, which makes sense, by the way, because if you think about it, if you've got a self-cutting key, first of all, it's a great walk-around piece. It's a great standalone piece. But if you've got a self-cutting key and you're doing keymaster or gatekeeper or both with uncut keys, what a great finale to take that key at the end and cut it and give it to them. What a great finale, right? So I said that the only way we can really do this, the best way to do it, is I could sit here for hours, for days, for weeks, for months, for years, thinking of a better way to do a self-cutting key, and I won't be able to figure it out. We really need to speak to Mark Leveridge. So I reached out to Mark Leveridge, and I asked him what he's doing with Keyvolution, and he said he was considering selling the rights to somebody, but, you know, that person ended up not wanting to buy the rights. And I remember the conversation I had with him. I said, Mark, I don't want to negotiate with you. I don't want to disrespect you in any way. You name your price, and I will personally pay it. I want to buy the rights to this trick. And he named his price, and I literally, there and then, paid him the money. There and then, paid him the money. I said, I want to have the rights to this trick. So, Mark Leveridge sold me the rights to Keyvolution. Brilliant. Then came the long process of getting that gimmick actually made, because it is a real precision-made gimmick. When you see what the gimmick is with Keyvolution, it's such a precision-made gimmick. And the guy that made it for Mark Leveridge, I wasn't around anymore, so I took it to Penguin Magic, but Mark sent me one, and I sent it over to Penguin Magic, and they were able to replicate it, which was amazing. So they were able to replicate it, and we went back and forth with various different prototypes until we got one that was absolutely perfect, and in a way was actually even better because we got it to the lock-in position, which was great. And the cool thing is, by the way, we got it to match the Keymaster range of keys. So it matches the Keymaster range of keys. Now, that brings us bang up to date. But before we get to the next part, I'm going to show you a performance of Mark Leveridge doing this to camera. Now, this is Mark's original Keyvolution performance. Now, this is actually on the tutorial for Key Cutter. It's actually on the tutorial for Key Cutter. So you can watch this performance on there, but I'm going to show it to you now. On the tutorial for Key Cutter, you've got the original tutorial from Mark Leverage, which is amazing. So you're going to see that, right? So you're going to see that right now. Not the whole tutorial, but just the performance. Have a look at this, and you'll see immediately why I fell in love with this routine.
This uses a couple of keys on a simple key ring. I'll just take them off here. It uses one brass key, which you hand out to be examined, and you ask the spectator to tell you, can they see anything unusual about the key? And whether they notice it or not, you point out to them that actually this edge here is in fact uncut. It's, in other words, it's a key blank. Whereas the other one, which is the silver one, if they have a look at the edge of that one, they can see that that one is cut in the normal way. Now normally, of course, if you wanted another one of these keys, you would go to the shop, they would cut the image of that edge on the blank edge using a machine. But actually you don't need to do that. You don't even need to use a machine. All you need is the simple key ring, and you can do the whole thing yourself at home. And this is how it works. You just take the two keys, that's the brass blank one and the cut silver one, you put them on the key ring together like this. In fact, if I just spread them here, hopefully you can see that the blank edge here is underneath the cut edge when I square those two keys together. At this point the two keys are taken, and you ask the spectator just to hold out their hand, and you place the keys into their hand like this. You get the spectator to give a little squeeze, and now when they open up their hand and they examine the brass key, they can see that its edge is cut with the same design as the silver key.
So that's a performance of Mark doing Keyvolution from many years ago. And when you bought the trick, you got that video, and you also got a tutorial as well. And as I said, that's all on the Key Cutter tutorial as a separate video, which is amazing. So that's where we're at now. The easy thing for me to do would be to just, because the original tutorial for Keyvolution was very short. It didn't need to be long. It's actually a really simple trick. So you just do what you just saw Mark doing. It's going to work itself, right? So the easy thing would have been for me to just take that, teach that, or even just stick it on the project and go, there you go, job done. Thank you very much. But I'm not like that. I wanted to teach some of the other things that I've been doing with Keyvolution over the course of several years of owning it, or Key Cutter as we've now called it. And we called it Key Cutter for a few different reasons. It was through no disrespect to Mark Leverage, because obviously we are fully acknowledging that this is Mark's trick and I've just bought the rights and I've just added to it. But from an SEO point of view and from various other points of view, it's better to change the name. And also Key Cutter kind of says exactly what it is right from the very beginning. So when you buy it, let me explain what you're going to get. So you're going to get 3 keys, and you're going to get 1 gimmick. So the gimmick is designed to fit. You get 2 cut keys, you get 1 uncut key. The gimmick is designed to fit the 2 cut keys. The 2 cut keys are cut identically, and the gimmick will fit either one of the cut keys. When the gimmick is on the cut keys, it is locked in place and it looks like an uncut key, and yet can be removed very, very easily, very, very quickly. And the reason you get 3 keys is simply because there's actually quite a few routines on the project. So you get Mark's original routine. And honestly, here's the thing I wanted to bring up, because a few people on the cafe, and I've not been checking the cafe, and I walked into a 3-page thread the other day, but a few people on the cafe are like, this isn't very, very practical. They watched the tutorial, they watched the trailer, and without owning the trick, they were like, oh yeah, it looks like he's pulling something off the key. Now, 2 points about that. One, that's because that's a handling that's been created specifically for that scenario. We'll get to that in a minute. But second of all, if you don't want to do it that way, you don't have to. As you've just seen in the video from Mark, in the original Keyvolution tutorial, you are taught how to put the 2 keys in the spectator's hand, they hold on to it, and the 2 keys cut. However, I wanted to show the various different ways that I use this, because I'm performing an awful lot in situations where I've got a big crowd of people around me. If I'm doing like walk around, I get into a lot of situations where I'm performing for a few hundred people in a cocktail situation, and I don't want to perform down here. I want to perform up here so the whole group can see me, right? Or I'm performing at a banquet style table situation where I've got a big table in front of me and there's people sitting around the table and I want everyone to see it. I'm going to take this key off and I want you to have a look at it and tell me if you can see something weird about it.
No.
A lot of people don't notice. Pick it up and have a look at it. Notice it's not being cut.
No.
Yeah, so you know, like when you use a key, there's cuts in it. This is called a key blank. Click your fingers along here and run your fingers along. You'll see there's no cuts. This is, you know, like when you go to a key cutter, it's like you move into a new apartment or something. This is what a key looks like before you actually move in there. Now, we're going to try and do something, okay? We're going to try and do something amazing with this key. Well, what I want you to do is hold out your right hand for me. Palm up. I'm going to take this key, I'm going to put it here, and I want you to squeeze it tightly if you can.
Okay.
What you're about to see is impossible, and it happens in your hand. Turn your hand like this. With your other hand, reach in through the top of your fist and pull out the key, but just so the head, the round bit, comes out.
Okay.
Now, if I told you you could cut this key yourself and put the little, you wouldn't believe me. I can tell you wouldn't believe me. Take your other hand, turn it 3 times. Yeah, go for it. 1, 2, 3. Now, you examine the key. My hands are empty. I've done nothing. It's all happened in your hand.
Yeah.
This is going to freak you out. Grab hold of the key. Open your hand and look at the stem.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
What's your name?
Michaela.
Nice to meet you, Michaela. So, Michaela, I have a key. Very exciting, I know. Have a look at this key. Check it out. Let me ask you a question. Do you see anything strange about the key?
No.
No. How about you? Do you see anything strange about the key?
There's no notches.
There's no notches. Oh. Yes. Now we know who the observant person is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not me.
This is called a key blank. You know, like when you move into a new apartment, you gotta go to a machine and they go. It doesn't actually make that noise. That's me doing the noise. And then it makes the notches or the grooves on the key. Each key is completely different. It's like a snowflake. Could you give your drink to someone you trust? I know how she never even looked in your direction. I'm just saying. So, you and I are going to do something amazing. Are you ready?
Yes.
Do not blink. You examine the key. I'm going to try and cut this key without using a machine. Would that be good?
Yeah.
I can see you're blown away by this.
High five with.
Can you do me a favor? Can you hold the head of the key?
Yes.
That bit there, and hold tightly. Don't blink for a second. Don't even breathe. Just hold that key right there. Nothing in my hands. Nothing up my sleeves. You can look from there. You can look from there. You can look from there. You try not to drop the key. Watch this. All I have to do to cut the key, I just do this. And you examine this thing. If I do... What? That's correct. You know what's even more strange? That's your front door key. No, I'm not. No, it's not. That'd be weird. She was like, oh my God. That's just, no. That's a little bit too much. That's. You want to see it. So one of the handlings that I developed with the key cutter gimmicks is you have the key taken off the key fob, or you do it at the end of Keymaster, or you do it at the beginning of Keymaster, whatever. But you take the key back and you hold it up here and you get the spectator to hold onto the key. You show your hands empty and you just rub and you just create the cuts in the key. Now, this is the thing that people were saying on the cafe. Don't people notice what's going on there? And the answer is no. I can't tell you enough how that's thinking like a magician, because from their point of view, they've just examined the key. They've just examined the key and they're holding on the key. The way the choreography works, it doesn't even look like you've taken the key back. They examine the key, your hands are empty, they take the key, they're holding onto the key. Once they're holding onto the key, everything's locked and in place and you're ready to go. And boom, there, it gets locked and your hands look completely empty and it's now uncut and it's in the hands of the spectator. It looks absolutely incredible. It really does. And as you saw from the trailer, the reactions are ridiculously strong. You get so many people wanting to film it. In fact, and I talk about this on the tutorial, one of the things I like doing is I'll have somebody standing behind me. I'll have someone hold onto the key, and I'll take their phone, I'll give it to someone else, and I'll get them to film it from my viewpoint. Because this is a beautiful routine where you can film it from my viewpoint, and everybody can be watching from every single angle, and they'll see the cuts appear, and they'll see my hands empty. And the amount of people that will post that on Instagram and tag me in and go, oh my God, I've just seen the most amazing thing ever. So that handling was built for that type of situation. And, you know, sometimes when you're, and I see reviewers do this. I try not to do this as a magic reviewer, but I do see reviewers do this a lot. I see people do it sometimes where they'll make a judgment as to whether a trick will work or not based on the trailer without watching the tutorial, without trying it in the real world. They will literally just make an assumption of whether it will work or not. And I'm telling you right now, and you'll see on the performances, when you do that handling, people just freak out. Because the other thing about this, whether you use, but by the way, if you don't like that handling, use Mark's original. There's no problem with that. And like I say, I could have just put it up there with Mark's original tutorial and be done with it. I paid him for it. I've got the rights to it. I could do that if I wanted to, but I wanted to give people extra value. But side note there. But the thing is, what I think works so well about Keyvolution, Key Cut, or whatever you want to call it, is the fact that it's something that if you could really do magic, you would do. So what I mean by that is magic, I think, is its strongest when it's replicating trivial tasks that you can do magically. So, you know, a card, you'd never want to bring a card to the top of the deck. You'd never want to do that, right? You'd never want to have a card jump into your pocket. But if you were in a situation where you needed a key cut, and you could magically just go boom and cut the key, you'd absolutely do that, right? So that's an interesting hook. Hey, a lot of people ask me, what's the point in magic? Is magic pointless? Because, like, I'm sure you would never be in a situation where you want to make a coin vanish from here and appear over there. But what if I told you you could do something with magic that would save you so much time and effort? Let's say something simple like cutting a key. Who's ever had to cut a key because they're moving into a new apartment or house? Yeah, exactly. It's a pain in the arse, right? And boom, it's an interesting hook line and you're straight into it. And that's one of the reasons I think that this works so well. Now, as well as that handling, you'll see it that you probably saw on the trailer. There's another handling that I do where I take the key off and I put the key into the spectator's hand, and they see it's uncut. They see the key is uncut. They hold on to it in their hand. They twist it round and they feel it cutting in their hand, and when they open up their hand, the key's cut. Again, that's a great handling, because I didn't want to be in a situation where I always putting two keys into the spectator's hands. I wanted to give people options, because different people like performing things in different ways, especially if you're combining this with Keymaster. If you're combining this with Keymaster, it doesn't make any sense at the end to put them back on the key fob, to take two keys and put them back on the key fob. It doesn't make much sense. But if I can just take one of those keys, put it in their hand, get them to twist it, and now it's cut in their hand, such a strong moment, right? But then I've got versions where you put one key on a key fob and they hold on to the one key. I've got versions where the key is cut by biting the key, which was a Chris Hannawell idea, which is an amazing idea, which is on the tutorial. And the reason you get three keys, by the way, is because there's a couple of different reasons, but one of the reasons is there's some killer transpositions as well. One of my favorite routines to do is one where you've got a key that's cut and a key that's uncut. And you take the key that's cut and you take the key that's uncut, and you do like a multi-phase transposition routine with it. And then they both become cut at the end, or they both become uncut, or you just leave it like that. There's so many different ways that you can take this. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to take Keyvolution, the original Keyvolution, and I wanted to build upon it. And I wanted to say, right, this is Keyvolution. This is amazing. This is a fantastic trick by the genius that is Mark Leverage. But let's see how we can take this to the next level. Let's see how we can take the exact same gimmicks and take it to the next level. And on the tutorial, I also talk about how to incorporate this with Gatekeeper. I talk about how to incorporate this with Keymaster. I talk about how you can actually, I talk a couple of extra routines that you can just do if you've got this in Keymaster. And then I talk about how you can do it as an individual standalone piece. And there's a bunch of different stuff. Even though it's a Craig Petty tutorial, I'm pretty sure that the tutorial is less than an hour though, because it's all very easy to do. Let me finish off by telling you what I love about key cut cutter and why you should buy it. One, I genuinely think that it's the most organic thing that you can do with a key. If you show someone a key blank and you cut it right in front of their eyes, that is incredible. That is something that they all wish they could do. Again, on the Magic Cafe, some people have said, well, it's, you know, it's a simple little thing, isn't it, really? It's a simple little thing. Anything's simple if you want it to be. But I'm telling you right now, it's such a strong premise and it's such a strong hook. Second of all, it's easy to do. Third of all, it's examinable at the beginning. Fourth of all, it's examinable at the end. The magic happens in the hands of the spectator. It takes about 15 seconds to reset, maybe less than that, depending on the routine that you're doing, somewhere between 5 and 15 seconds to reset, and then you're ready to go again. It takes up no space. You can incorporate it with other key routines, especially Keymaster and Gatekeeper, and it plays one-on-one brilliantly if you're doing Mark's original handling, 2-on-1, 3-on-1 walk around where people are looking down, small groups, brilliant. But if you're performing to a big group and you've got it up here and you've got people filming it from every angle, it looks amazing as well. I am so proud of Key Cutter. I've been wanting to build on the Keymaster infrastructure. So many magicians use Keymaster. So many magicians use Gatekeeper, and I've been wanting to build on that infrastructure now for a while, and I'm so glad that we've now got Key Cutter in place. I'm so glad we've now got Keyvolution in place. So I'm going to be doing an exposure video on this, but I just wanted to say to everyone that's picked this up already, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. For those of you that haven't picked it up yet, I promise you, this is going to be one of the strongest things that you do. Talk about an ultimate everyday carry. Talk about an ultimate pack small, plays big. It's a key that fits in your pocket and you're ready to go. You just have 2 keys on a key fob. You can take it out and you can do it anytime you want to. You want to do it at the end of Keymaster? You can. You want to do it at the end of Gatekeeper? You can. To anyone who's picked it up or is considering picking it up, I really appreciate it. I think it's amazing, but then again, I'm just biased. There you go. That is Keyvolution, Keymaster, Gatekeeper, and Key Cutter, the evolution of Keyvolution. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you've already got Keyvolution from many, many years ago with Mark Leverage, let me know. If you've picked it up already, let me know what you think. Which is your favorite handling? Is it Mark's original? There's nothing wrong with that. I did it that way for about 15 years. Or is it one of the newer handlings that I included on the project as well? And on behalf of Penguin, you know, thank you for everybody that's picked it up. And finally, if you're watching Mr. Leverage, thank you not just for letting me continue your legacy. And I know Mark was very keen on having this become part of the Keymaster infrastructure. And I'm so glad that it has. You know, so thank you, Mark, not only for allowing me to bring this out, but also for being a huge inspiration in my career and everything I've done in Magic. Guys, I appreciate you watching. I will see you again. Look out for the Key Cutter exposed video. But until then, my name's Craig. This is Magic TV. And don't forget to check out The Netrix. TheNetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. See you again soon, right here on Magic TV.